And good afternoon to you. Thank you for being on board. Glad to have you with us here on a Tuesday afternoon. And we appreciate the goodness of the Lord, appreciate God's blessing, and appreciate all the things the Lord's up to. I'm going to have to I'm going to have to do some adjusting here on my sound. I am in a I did something today that I know better, but I did it anyway. And so now I'm paying the consequences. I shot a bullpup rifle today. And it didn't dawn on me that because they're short, how loud it would be. And so without hearing protection, I shot a rifle. And oddly enough, I'm right-handed, but my left ear, I can't hear. There's such a loud ring in it that I can't hardly hear. So I'm trying to adjust my headset up and down to get more volume, but it's distorting in my headset. The sound distorts. So, oh my goodness, I've done this before, something loud like that, but I don't remember when I've done it this bad. So I'm really at a disadvantage because, man, there's a ring in my ears from that loud noise, from that shock of that, So, oh my goodness, and in radio, hearing what you're saying is about 2/3 of the battle. You have to be able to hear what's going on, and it's true with music. It's true with singing. If you can't hear what you're singing, if you ever hear a quartet and they get up and they're struggling and they're not in key or whatever, or they're not in rhythm, not in time, they can't hear. It's just the way it is. They can't hear. So that's always a monitor issue. And it's true in radio. A voice inflection, all the other things. A lot of people don't understand that in radio, your sentences, your inflection is your punctuation. So your pauses and how the voice inflection is punctuation that's understood. In other words, if I'm going to ask a question at the end of it, I would say, have y'all had a good day today? Or a good day today? And that would indicate there's a question there. But, or if I made a statement, I've had a good day today, then it's a statement rather than a question. And you have to inflect the question mark. Anyway, because of that, you get used to hearing, you get used to monitors. So we call ourselves what we call monitor deaf. We get that way, and that's pretty common. But today, I'm not monitor deaf. I'm deaf in one ear because of a blast from a rifle, and I'm paying for it. What in the world's going on 26? What's happened over there? It says it's construction. Was there a wreck earlier? Lydia, have you seen a wreck? Was there a wreck on 26 earlier? What's all this about? We are shut down. And when I say shut down, I mean it might be moving maybe a little bit, but it's right there where you come down from the Blue Ridge Parkway. So if you're going toward Asheville, if you went down, see, everything's on the left side now. They moved all the traffic on the left side, and so you go down through there at the bottom, right there where it would normally come back together. It's right there, and it's coming out of Asheville. It is backed up from there all the way past the river, all the way onto the new section, all the way down past the Toyota place, Fred Anderson Toyota, and it's all the way down there to the bridge on Pond Road. And it's basically just standing still. I mean, I don't, if it's moving, it's not moving hardly at all. So I don't know what's going on with that. But again, I-26 East coming out of Asheville is pretty well stopped. And we don't yet have a cause as to why that's the case. But it is stopped. It appears to be something that has recently happened. And here's how I know. Because we are not seeing the backup yet on these other secondaries. So we don't see the backups yet. 25, 25A, 191, all are in good shape. So whatever's going on must have happened fairly recently. And so if it's a wreck, we have not received a wreck icon yet. I can't imagine that construction would close at this time of the day. Don't know. Anyway, 191's pretty good. 25, 25A, those are about your only options to get out of Asheville today coming toward Hendersonville. Normal day in the downtown, 240 coming west. That's always congested. The bridges are in good shape. 40 looks good, even in the gorge. And my question is, did they open that back up? And nobody's answering me, but there is no delay. Okay, so there's zero. And my question is, I think they may have opened that back. If they got that middle fix that they were trying to do, they may actually have it open again to 4 lanes. So that's my hope anyways. There's no delay in the gorge today. So that's a good thing. Let's drop down to Greenville right quick. We have our normal slowdowns in our normal places, and add to it today, a stretch between 385 and 276 heading south. That's pretty slow. And then we've got another, it's always slow down around 85, 185 southbound. That interchange right there is off the pace as well. Wreck up on I-85 southbound near the airport. So what else is new, right? There's not a day goes by there's not a wreck on 85. And then there's also a one today on South Carolina 417 south. And so not sure what that's all about, but it's just above Simpsonville there that wreck has occurred. All right, anybody else got anything? I believe that's going to do it traffic-wise. I was outside earlier and the sun went down. I was in a shady area, and boy, I tell you, it seemed like it got awful cold awful quick. I didn't have a jacket on, and it was definitely jacket weather for sure. Asheville Airport said they had sunshine and 54 at 6 minutes before the hour, and they're saying that no wind chill involved in that. If you drop off down to Greenville-Spartanburg, theirs was at 57, so only a 3-degree differential today between the airports. But right now we've already dropped down to 46. 46.8 is where we stand right now on the outside, okay? And so, all right. And Lydia, if you can, I have an issue, and there is an issue with the iPad is not synced up with the phone, and I don't know what to do about it. I don't know if you do. And so if you can get those displaying, that is not updated since 12:36, and so there's not been a text been received here since that time. So we'll try to get that straightened up, and we'll get. So the text line is working. We just don't have it where it's displaying, where I can get my stats. All right, let's drop to the forecast right quick, and we are looking at 34 tonight for a low, 55 tomorrow. Tomorrow night's when the chance of rain starts in, 44. 50% chance of rain on Thursday, increasing to 90%, and they're saying heavy rain. And they're also saying heavy rain on Thursday night, 60 down to 30, and a slight chance of rain on Friday. Again, this would have been a big snow, but because of La Nina keeping us a couple degrees above normal, low of 34 with heavy rain coming in. I was just going to look at that right quick and see if I could tell you how much rain they're talking about. We have let's see here. So this is what they're predicting thus far. They are saying that we are looking almost an inch of rain on Thursday. And then we're looking, they won't give me any other than that. So they're just saying about an inch and then nothing more. Let me look over here right quick. I'd have to total them up. So my totals that they're looking over here, so about the same. So between a half an inch and an inch looks like what we're looking at. And as a result of that, think of it this way. If the temperature had been just about 2 degrees colder, we could be getting a foot of snow this week. Easily. Yeah. But what's is that subtropical jet's staying to the north of us, and as a result of that, we're getting the moderate temperatures. And so for which we are glad, okay? And an update, I appreciate 9552 telling me that there was a car broke down, and it's been cleared, and now things are starting to move. And, of course, when something breaks down, there's nowhere, you can't get off on there's no curb, there's no shoulder, there's nowhere to put it. And so it just quits. And, so anyway, that's what's going on I-26. It was a broke-down car, and we appreciate folks letting us know that. Thank you. And let's see. All right. Thank you very much. We're glad of that. And when was that? Was that a truck turned over at Jackson's? When did that happen? Is that something? That's not current, is it? And again, I'm just now getting my text messages. My apologies for not. Is that what it is? Okay. So, well, that still wouldn't explain why it's so slow coming out. Okay, let me go back up here. No, that doesn't explain that. So, don't know. I don't know what the. So apparently it's just I see it is moving and it is clearing up. So that's a good thing. So we're glad that 26 now. Yeah, it's moving, and it's every time I refresh, we're getting better. So 26 is on the move. You're better off to stay with it more than likely. Just won't be too much longer that it should get back up to speed. All right. Okay, let's take from the forecast. Let's jump right quick. And by the way, no snow in the forecast and moderate temperatures. Yeah, we're moderating next week, 50s and 30s. It's looking good, actually. Maybe some rain, more rain coming. But so far, all rain. And you think about, if this had been typical January weather, we'd have been down to our normal highs and lows. Think about how much precipitation we've already had. Think if all of that had fallen as snow. We'd had a pretty good snowpack right now. We'd had a pretty good snow base. But that was not the case. Not the case at all. All right, let's quick move over to our calendar. And let me tell you that the 10th day of the month of January, the general operating budget of Anchor Broadcasting being sponsored by the Carsons Creek Baptist Church, and thankfulness for their pastor, Eddie Dodson, and his wife, Diane. And he became their pastor on this date in 2021. And so happy second anniversary to Brother Eddie and, of course, his dear wife, Miss Diane. And we appreciate Brother Dodson. He's been a close friend through the years, and we appreciate Carsons Creek. Thank you. God bless you. Also, the network budget today, sponsored by the Rosman Baptist Tabernacle, in thankfulness for all of God's blessings on the church and in appreciation of WGCR. We say thank you for that. God bless you. Appreciate Rosman Baptist Tabernacle. Birthdays today, and Dorothy Ann Rigsby, congratulations. Christopher Owen is having a birthday today. Hannah Stywinner, and also in memory of Othaline Owens today. Remember her here on the 10th. All right? If you don't have a birthday or anything else, call us. We'll get it on the radio, and we'll announce it for you, okay? 26 this morning. Yeah, it's cold. 26. And it was pretty good little freeze there. And, I'm looking at next week at the rain totals. Quite a bit. It's we're gonna get into a wet patch, but as it stands right now, it's still, the temperatures are abundantly above, so that everything still looks like rain this week. All of next week, I'm actually looking at a 15-day, and it still shows us staying up here in the warm category. All right, I have lost a mouse. All right, and a mouse is a terrible thing to lose when you're trying to. There it is. Okay, so here we go. And this afternoon, we want to recognize Anchorage, Alaska, San Jose, California, Boca Raton, and Jacksonville, Florida. A lot of folks listen up in Muncie, Indiana. I've been to Muncie, there to that university. We did a ISC there a few years ago. Hudson, Kentucky, Cambridge, Massachusetts, Ann Arbor, and Manchester, Michigan. Quite a few Manchesters today. Plymouth, Minnesota, Woodbridge, New Jersey, Nassau, New York, and in North Carolina, Weaverville, Morrisville, Hendersonville, Arden, Franklin, Fletcher, Charlotte, and more of the same. Toledo, Ohio, and Oberlin, Ohio. Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. We've got several connections up there today. In South Carolina, Lake City, Greer, Rock Hill, Lancaster, Fort Mill, Greenville. And I'm trying to sort through in my head here because they're not in alphabetical and a lot of repeats, but we're glad for that. In the state of Texas, Houston and Keller towns are represented today, and several in Houston. We have Europe on board, and I'm not sure why. Oh, I see what it is. I might have moved that I couldn't see the edge, so now I can see it. Europe is with us. Denmark is on today in a couple of places. Glad to have Denmark with us. And we've rounded all off. I don't see the UK today. Yeah, I do. There's UK. So United Kingdom is lit up, and also Denmark and Suffolk, Virginia, listening today. Glad to have you with us. And is today James Pruitt's birthday? Okay, well, if it is, happy birthday. And we're glad to have Pakistan, Valley Hill, Green River, Flat Rock, Pisgah Forest, and Kentucky all watching today. All right, thank you. Glad to have you on. Appreciate you being with us today. We sure do. And anyway, we're grateful to the Lord for His blessing, and we're grateful for God's goodness. I am trying to decipher some things here that we're dealing with. Let me just check we're where we need to be on the power-wise. All right. Let me do a couple of things if I can. We were talking about yesterday the Social Security increase, and I had done some research on that, and then I had misplaced it. Well, I've got it back, so let's go back over that just for a second, and give you what we were talking about. According to a website I was looking at, it says that the average person gets about $1,670 per month as of September of this year. And the Social Security Administration has estimated now that the average benefit, now this is putting everybody together, the highest, the lowest, all together, about $1,827 a month starting in January. The maximum is now $160,200. You pay Social Security up until that amount of earnings, and then it tops out. And if you had paid in the maximum for all the years, then the most that you can earn, well, I thought I had it here, but I don't see it. The most that you can earn, I think, is $4,100. That's the most that you can draw, is $4,100 a month. And about 70 million people, because I was doing this all from memory yesterday, about 70 million people, including retirees, disabled people, and children's benefits, receive Social Security. And so, we're seeing a big a big increase for the boomers. And you're a boomer if you were born after 46 and between 46 and 64. Last time we had an increase this big, this is 8.7%. And the last time we had one this big was in 81. And it was right after Carter, and the inflation was so bad, the cost of living was so bad, it went up 11.2%. Yeah. So anyway, that's what we know about the Social Security raise, all right? And you know, yeah, way below average. Yeah. And I don't know about SSI. I don't know about that. But I'd say this. I mean, how does somebody live? Even if you were in the middle of this, you're the average. How do you live on just that? And of course, according to what they say, well, you're not supposed to live on that. You were supposed to have retirement. You're supposed to have, other things. And I get that, but I also understand that, a lot of folks, that's all they have. And so we're talking about, it's very serious, and of course, even with that kind of increase, it's still not keeping up with what everything's costing. Let me ask you a question. Has anybody tried to get propane? Anybody tried to get propane bottle filled? Is there something going on that I don't know about? Someone told me today they went 3 places and tried to get propane and they were out. 3 different places were out of propane. Has anybody else experienced that? I'm just asking. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just asking if that's anybody else has had that. I don't know if they have or not. Last week was the anniversary of January the 6th, and it's the second anniversary of January the 6th. And the January the 6th, of course, when the Capitol was stormed. Well, there's still a great deal of controversy about that whole thing, about everything that went on there. And one of the things that a lot of people, it may have made the news, I don't know if it did or not, but one of the women who was killed by Capitol Police, she was unarmed, she was shot and killed by Capitol Police. Her mother was arrested Friday afternoon there at the Capitol. And her name's Ashley Babbitt. And the mother of Ashley Babbitt was the woman who was killed. Mickey Withoft was trying to place roses there at the Capitol in honor of her daughter who died 2 years ago, shot by Capitol Policeman Lieutenant Michael Byrd. Well, she was arrested around 1:45 Friday afternoon by Capitol Police. She was charged with violating 2 traffic regulations. The first was the failure to obey an order, and second, blocking and obstructing roadways. And she was given a citation and later released. And the Capitol Police are saying that the group did not have a permit to demonstrate on Capitol grounds. So they tried to get actually on the Capitol grounds, and they were not allowed to. And they were told to get out of the road or they would be arrested. And so, according to the Capitol Police, said that instead of doing so, she refused to leave and put her hands behind her back as if to be arrested. Anyway, there's 2 sides of the story. They had flags, and they had the streets blocked off. They had the sidewalks blocked off, so they were walking in the street, and so their only option was to walk on the side fence or across the street because they couldn't lay flowers. So they walked along the road, and it was there that they arrested her. Said that she was in the road, and that she was, according to the mom, an aggressive Capitol Police officer who left wounds on my arm from handcuffing her. So anyway, the situation continues. There's a whole lot of things that go unanswered. The Mr. Biden made a special thing there that day, and he almost act like the people who died in the line of duty or died, they were heroes who died. That's the way he did it. That's the way he said it. But a lot of people don't even know who died or don't know the clear story about that. So Ashley Babbitt, Roseanne Boylan, Kevin Greason, and Benjamin Phillips. There were 4 people died either that day or right around that day or after that day. Now, Ashley Babbitt, her death was ruled a homicide. And video identified a Capitol policeman shooting her at close range as they were there in the hallway outside the Senate chambers. Now, Greason and Phillips, their autopsies have said they died of natural causes. It had nothing to do. It was just, it was their time. They died of natural causes. And then Boylan, who died, it was ruled as an accident. But there's some video now that has surfaced that has shown, and this has now shown, that Boylan was struck by a police officer prior, and she was unconscious near the Capitol building. And so it's interesting to me that there has been information that has been suppressed about all of this. It's been very one-sided. The news coverage has been very one-sided. And there are things that have come to light about January the 6th that the media have completely walked over and have completely forgot about. They won't even acknowledge it, okay? We'll be back on the other side of sign-off here in just a moment. Stay tuned. WGCR AM 720 Pisgah Forest now concludes its broadcast day. Join us on 94.9 FM or WGCR.net for continuous broadcasting 24 hours a day. I have to wait for that little pause there. I was just a little bit premature, so I've still not got the hang of it. My clocks are not exactly synchronized. Okay. So anyway, I am, I am, and I'm 5371 points out something that I saw with my own eyes. See, one of the things about the studio here, when we need to, we can bring up every major network live. We've got multiple televisions here, and we have these giant televisions that can be split 4 ways. And so we can see feeds from all over the place, just a variety of things. So, and we were in news mode that day, and we were watching. And so we saw live feeds coming in from all over, just from everything. And there were Capitol policemen who were unlocking doors, moving barricades, and it appeared that they were waving people in. That's what it appeared like. And as far as this violent rush, on things, well, I'm not saying it didn't happen in other parts of the Capitol, but I saw one of these Capitol policemen, I saw him pose for a selfie with one of the women. So if the Capitol policemen were scared for their lives, why would you pose? I guess here's the thing. None of the people, as far as I know, somebody correct me on this, was there a firearm inside the building? I'm just going to ask a few questions here. Did they find a firearm on anyone inside the Capitol? Of all the people who went in, was there a firearm on anyone who went in? Can anybody answer me that? The second question is, was there any other kind of weapon on anyone? other than a crowbar. I know there was a crowbar in the hands of some people who pried the bars off of a window. But my question is, why would you pry the bars off of a window to get in the Capitol when just around the side the door was open? I'm not sure I understand that. Okay? And and when we're talking about, I'm not talking about news. I'm talking about camera feeds. We were watching camera feeds. No commentators, no nothing. Live stuff coming in. We were watching live feeds. And I saw some very incriminating things against the Capitol Police. That's what I'm trying to say. And since that time, there is ample video evidence from people on their phones confirming what I saw. And what I saw was a bunch of people who were allowed in the Capitol. I mean, are you telling me that a group of Capitol policemen with guns cannot keep out people with no guns? And here's another fact that nobody talks about. Okay? Here's something that nobody talks about. They all blame all this on Trump. And Trump was trying to overthrow the government and circumvent the rule of law. That's the charge, right? Well, if that's the case, why would a man who's wanting to overthrow the Capitol, number one, send women and children? Number two, if you're wanting to overthrow the Capitol and prevent the process of certifying the vote, why would you give an order for 20,000 National Guard troops to be brought to the Capitol the day that this was going to take place? It's a fact that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, ordered up to 20,000 National Guardsmen, armed National Guardsmen, to be brought up for the event should they be needed. By the way, the President does not send in troops. It's not by what people say. That's not the way it works. When it's a civil defense issue, American against American, when it's that issue, then the troops are brought up by the governor of the state. The president makes them available, and then the governor requests them. In the case of a district, then it's the highest elected official. So like in Puerto Rico, it would be the governor of Puerto Rico. But in the federal district of Columbia, the highest elected official there is the mayor. The mayor said, no thank you, we don't need them. And that's for the Metro Police. No, we don't need them. D.C. Metro. And the Capitol Police, which their sole charge is for Capitol Hill, said we don't need them. We don't need them. And you know why they brought them in later in the day? Because there had already been an order given. So the order was standing. And when you saw all the troops surrounding the Capitol after the fact, that was because it was only then that they activated President Trump's order. That's how they could get there so quick, because the order had already been done. But they did not ask for them till after the fact. But then did you know that they treated them pretty poorly? Those troops were stationed around the Capitol. They were not given proper latrines. They were not fed properly. They were not taken care of at all. I'm serious. I don't know where the failure was. I don't know who that fell to. I don't know what the situation was. But they kept them there for an excessive amount of time. And the men and women who were there, who were activated and called up to stand guard around the Capitol to prevent this quote-unquote insurrection, They were treated very, very badly. What does that say? To the point, okay, so to the point they were treated so badly that many of the congressmen were ordering food and having it brought to the guardsmen. So, I mean, what in the world is going on? So there is there is so much that, and I've said from the day one, we knew that Antifa was in the group. And of course they had violent and wicked intentions. But I also knew people in the crowd. They were there to pray for America. They were there as a pro-American rally. They did not believe that the election was valid because of all of the vote tampering. And they were just there to express that opinion. And that's the right of every American. And many of the people who end up going inside the Capitol building didn't know that they couldn't, truthfully. They didn't know that they couldn't because nobody told them not to go in. The doors were open and people were moving barricades, and I watched them unlatch the door and push it to the side. I am so we're in a disinformation battle, and we are in a war of information. And the problem is the rank and file American citizen believes everything they hear. And not that I just say it this way. That's why non-network owned, non-conglomerate owned, non-ratings owned entities are so valuable in the control of the licenses of televisions and radio stations. Because you hear the same thing over and over and over, and if you tell a lie long enough, people will believe it. And there's sure been a lot of lies told. And I see it, and I see here's the thing. I monitor a lot of stuff. And if somebody were to watch what I monitor, they would think that I was a liberal. Because of all the things that I watch the liberals say and do. Here's the funny part. Today, there'll be this liberal, let me see if I can say it, like a monologue. There's a liberal spin on the events of what's taking place. And they'll use key words and they'll say certain things. Talking points. And what's interesting is you range around and you find these intellectuals that are commenting, the left-wingers, and they use the same phrases. I catch them all the time. They use the same words. They use the same phrases. Words that are not necessarily common, and they stand out to you. The night talk show host, nighttime television, man, they're wicked. All of them. And they use those talking points. They make jokes about them and they use them. Oh, yes, they do. They're very much into that. And so the nighttime talk shows are very much left-wing and very much into the brainwashing thing. And then if you'll watch closely and listen closely, mainstream news within a few hours will start saying almost the exact same thing that the left spin is saying. That's where they get it. And they will start parroting what the left is saying about the event. The news will take that angle and they'll start saying it. And here's what's crazy. All of them are doing it. Almost every single major news organization is doing that. I don't know if they get it from each other. I don't know where they get it from. But it's pretty crazy to listen to it. So in other words, some liberal leaks something or says something about this, and they use a certain phrase. The next thing you know, it just goes boom, 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 boom. And it becomes the truth. Even though it was meant as a take on the truth or their opinion on the truth, it becomes truth. Because everybody says it and everybody believes it. But the problem is it's a lie. It's a lie. And that's what upsets me. And yes, and all liars will have their part in the lake of fire. It's true. 0770. That's exactly right. By the way, there were, there was, people were laughing. Policemen did not have their guns drawn. I mean, it's one thing if people break through men lined up shoulder to shoulder with guns drawn, and people break through that, but that's not what happened. As a matter of fact, people were laughing, and it was almost like a celebration when they went into the Capitol. But, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so January the 6th is a whole... And by the way, they are now, the January 6th investigations, the Republicans have vowed to investigate the investigators. So the January 6th investigative committee is now being investigated. Sure is. That's one of the advantages of them taking the House, is they'll launch their own investigations. And now the group that for 2 years have thrown out all this garbage to us, they're now being investigated. And a bunch of things that were not omitted, including video footage that were not omitted, now suddenly may come to light over the next few months. It'll be interesting to see. I hope that they do a good job. I wish them well. I do. I wish them well. And 1817, thank you. Appreciate that. And, yeah. So anyway, right. And somebody said something about, we could change the subject right quick. I've got class tonight. Somebody's asking about the interest rates. I don't see it stopping, because this president is bragging about how low unemployment is Friday. And the Fed chair is saying that the unemployment's way too low, and that's what's driving inflation. And he believed that we need to have unemployment up around 4.8, which is about 3.8 now. And then once we get inflation around 4.8, or get unemployment up around 4.8, then that will be a sign that inflation has slowed down. And he believes that. The Fed chair believes that the way that you tame inflation is to people lose their jobs. So do you think he's going to stop? No. We're not even close. And let me just say this, and I'm saying, there is a general, I don't know if it's a mood, feeling, intuition, I don't know what it is. But generally, there is an idea that persists that says 23 is going to be a bad year. There are less people booking to come to our area. Airbnbs are way off. Bookings for the summer are already down compared to this time a year ago. Weddings, people coming here to get married, they're not as big. So people are saying, okay, the year, it's going to be a bad year. It's going to be a bad year in the market. It's going to be a bad year. 23 is going to be a bad year. Well, let me tell you the problem with that. It's self-fulfilling prophecy. If we think it's going to be bad, then it's going to be bad. You understand what I'm saying? If you think it's going to be bad, it's going to be bad. Because when people quit going, people quit spending, people quit borrowing, it will cause the economy to tank. And if they think it's going to be bad, it will be self-fulfilling. So, yeah. So, investigating the investigators. It's coming. It's coming. Oh, yeah. But the networks will sweep it under the rug like they do everything else. So, it's just where we live. Sorry. And the majority of the people are going to believe what they hear on the 6:30 news. It don't matter what. They're going to believe what they hear on Good Morning America. They're going to believe what they hear on, 6 and 6:30. They're going to believe that. It don't matter what the truth is. If they heard it on the big four networks, it's got to be the gospel, right? My friend, they're so controlled by what they say and the spins that they put on the things. I don't watch them. No. I read what they say, but I don't watch them. And, of course, I do a lot of reading fast. I skim what they're saying and the direction they're going to angle. I tell you something that's really neat to do is get on the BBC and watch what the British say about what goes on in America. It's very interesting. They have a unique perspective. And sometimes I can find out more about what really happened in the United States coming out of London, England, than I can coming out of New York. That's the truth. All right, got to go. By the way, y'all been praying for Ryan Marlowe, Pastor Ryan Marlowe. Remember he had the infection and they give him up for dead and told his wife that he had died, he was brain dead, and that they were going to harvest his organs, but he was dead, go ahead and make funeral arrangements. And they're getting ready to harvest his organs, and he moved. And so they began to deal with it. Did you know that he can play catch with his child? That he can catch a ball? Did you know that he was a pianist? He tuned pianos. Did you know that he picked out? They put him next to a keyboard. He's at the place in Atlanta, the brain injury place in Atlanta. Did you know that he picked out the tune Amazing Grace this week? He did. Now, this is the guy who died, and I took up money for his funeral. It's true. I've never had to refund funeral money before because they didn't need it. But Ryan Marlowe's alive. Pastor Ryan Marlowe is alive in Atlanta in rehabilitation, and he's apparently improving a little bit every day. But he can play catch with his kids, had Christmas with the children, and can play Amazing Grace with one hand. So you tell me. And of course the doctors urged them to go ahead and let them take those organs, that he'd be a vegetable the rest of his life. Urged them. It's just a matter of us cutting off the ventilator and he'll die and we'll take his organs and he'll be out of, what kind of quality of life is he going to have? He's just going to be a vegetable. Well, he's not a vegetable. He's not 100%, but he's not a vegetable. And even the medical community lies. Don't believe everything you hear. Okay? Sorry to say, but it's true. All right, let's pray. Father, thank you for your mercy, your goodness, your grace. Help us, Lord, to be found faithful. Lord, may your will be accomplished in each of us. And Lord, I'm praying that the truth will prevail. And Lord, I'm praying that people would have their eyes open to the truth of the glorious gospel, the truth of the liberating truth of God's saving grace, and Lord, for the truth concerning the things that are around us. Lord, we know the devil is a liar and the father of it. And so every lie that comes down the pike, Lord, we know where the author, who it is. He fathered that thing, Lord, to doom and damn people. And so help us, I pray, Lord, to be rightly divide the word of truth, and help us, Lord, to be discerning, wise as serpents, harmless as doves,